You can tell exactly what kind of Iron Maiden album you're about to get just by listening to its first track.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But while Maiden album openers often perfectly set the tone for what is to come on the record, that doesn't really mean they always do the album justice.
It's just outrageous.
So today, let's go through every single one of them in release order and rank all Iron Maiden album intros. Here you go. By the way guys, in case you don't know, I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan and I do love each and every one of those, so please don't hate me for this episode. But of course, as always, do not hesitate to comment on anything you hear or see in this video, and especially if you disagree with me, because the whole point of our Up the Irons series is of course to start a conversation. But alright, let's do it. Prowler kicks off Iron Maiden's debut album with raw energy and punk-infused aggression. Paul Di'Anno's gritty vocals and Dave Murray's frenetic guitar work set the tone for the band's early sound. And here's the thing, although I never really considered Prowler my favorite song on Iron Maiden's self-titled debut album, I actually firmly believe that it is the best possible album intro for that record. As in fact, it is more than just a song, it is a statement which summarizes everything early Iron Maiden stood for, combining heavy metal's darkness and heaviness with punk rock's speed and aggression. And there is no track on this album which can do that better than Prowler. Although on Killers, Iron Maiden propagated roughly the same type of sound they did on their debut album, one may argue that it is on their sophomore album when Iron Maiden started introducing a notch of epicness into their sound, which is especially vivid on its intro track. The Ides of March is short but dramatic as hell. It sets up Killers perfectly with that rising tension, like a sword being sharpened before a fight. After that, exploding in Wrathchild. No, seriously, how much better can it get?
None.
And so yes, at least to me, that's exactly why the Ides of March is climbing now to #1 spot in our ranking. Well, out of 2 for now, but still. And even more, I don't know about you, but I would simply freak out if Iron Maiden would actually open with the Ides of March on their upcoming Run for Your Lives tour. And yes, going into Wrathchild just like they did on their sophomore record. As to me, this would be a perfect way to kick off the celebrations of the early days of this band. By the way guys, super quick, just want to point out that only around 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to the Metal Pilgrim channel. So if you're not one of those, and especially if this is not the first Up the Iron series video you're watching on the show, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing right now. Let's continue building this amazing heavy metal community together. And thus, we come to the first of what I assume will be several rather controversial entries on this list. Iron Maiden's legendary third studio album, The Number of the Beast, and its intro piece, Invaders. And here's the thing. And I know you're gonna hate me for this, but at least to me, Invaders has always been the weakest track on this album. By far. And yes, much more so than Gangland.
No, don't say that.
And although, once again, and as I always say, it still is stronger than 99% of the music coming out that same year, when Steve Harris once mentioned that Invaders might have not been the strongest choice for an opener, suggesting that the band should have replaced it with some other track, I actually had to agree with Steve, as at least to me, this song does not really do justice to The Number of the Beast and to what is to come later on this record. And that's why, as much as I don't want to do it, I actually would have to place it at the bottom of our list. At least so far. Peace of Mind became an album introduction of a then new Iron Maiden drummer, Nicko McBrain. And now, here's the thing. It is today that we all, of course, consider Nicko to be the legendary Iron Maiden drummer. But let's not forget that back in 1983, Iron Maiden fans weren't really too thrilled about the departure of Clive Burr, and as it usually happens in such cases, were rather skeptical about a band's new member. And so Peace of Mind's opening track Where Eagles Dare became a real introduction of Nicko McBrain, and at least to me, it was simply a perfect one. And that's why, yes, it does climb automatically to the very top of our current ranking. Although I have to be honest with you and say that this is actually one of the only songs from the first 9 Iron Maiden albums that I really hope that Iron Maiden will not perform on their upcoming Run for Your Lives tour. As at least to me, and I'm sure to many Iron Maiden fans, this is very much of a Nicko McBrain song. And I actually believe that it should remain such forever. And here we enter the zone of simply incredible album openers in Iron Maiden's career, with almost each one getting better than the previous one. Power Slave's Aces High immerses listeners in the adrenaline-fueled world of World War II fighter pilots. And although on the album version it is not preceded by Winston Churchill's famous speech that Iron Maiden do quite often in their live performances, still, this song's soaring vocals and rapid guitar riffs epitomize Iron Maiden's signature style of mid-80s. And therefore, at least to me, it definitely goes right on top of our ranking. And possibly not even so far, but might actually remain such until the very end of this video. We'll see. And then comes Somewhere in Time and its follow-up, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. And the fight for the best album opener becomes even more fierce than it was before. Now, most of this channel's regular viewers know how much I love Somewhere in Time, and I've actually been speaking about how it is vastly underappreciated by the band long before it became mainstream. But the truth is that if you would have asked me 4 or 5 years ago which album opener is stronger, comparing Where Eagles Dare to God Somewhere in Time, I would definitely go with a Peace of Mind intro, simply because how much it meant and still means to the Iron Maiden family, being the introduction of the legendary Nicko McBrain to the band. But all of this changed back in 2023, because hearing God Somewhere in Time after a Blade Runner theme as a concert opener for the band's Future Past tour was in fact one of the most cathartic experiences of my journey as an Iron Maiden fan. And while in my attempt of being as fair as possible in this video, I cannot really, in all honesty, call God Somewhere in Time a stronger piece or a better album opener than Aces High. At least for now, I will put it higher than any other piece in the Iron Maiden discography up to this point. But the problem is that right after that comes Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, with a skull-crushing yet enchanting Moonchild as an intro piece. The song, which synth's intro and its build-up makes it one of the greatest album openers ever written in the history of metal, and which also places Seventh Son of a Seventh Son right below Aces High in my personal ranking. Although I do know that I'll get a lot of crap for this from many of you guys in the comments. Don't you dare to save yourself. And then comes No Prayer for the Dying and Tailgunner. And here's the thing, I think that most, if not all Iron Maiden fans will agree with me that it simply fades in front of at least 4 previous album openers. And therefore it is no surprise that it will go all the way to the bottom of our ranking. Well, almost to the bottom, bear with me, as I know that I'm about to say something that most of those who love Number of the Beast will simply hate me for, but given the fact that No Prayer for the Dying, although it is a good record, is actually my least favorite Iron Maiden album, I don't really expect that much from its intro piece. And in addition to that, Tailgunner is actually one of the strongest tracks on No Prayer for the Dying, something I cannot really say about Invaders. And therefore, at least to me, as an intro piece, without comparing the songs themselves, I would actually place it above Invaders at the almost very bottom of our ranking. Yeah, I know. Yet when it comes to Be Quick or Be Dead, Iron Maiden definitely rehabilitate themselves. And although I can't really rank this track higher than most other Golden Era intro pieces, it still lands way higher up the chart than its predecessor. And I don't know about you, but at least to me, Be Quick or Be Dead is actually one of those tracks that I would simply love to hear live at the band's upcoming Run for Your Lives tour. By the way guys, and here super quick, I just want to thank all my patrons and all the YouTube channel members for supporting the show. And talking about Run For Your Lives tour, thank you to each and every one of you who will be attending those Iron Maiden shows and some Metal Pilgrim merch, as it is thanks to all of you guys that this channel is even able to exist. When it comes to the two albums Iron Maiden released with Blaze Bayley on vocals, I actually believe that they did an incredible job on the album's intro tracks. As here's the thing, you may like those albums or not, you may like those songs or not, but I think you will agree with me that both Sign of the Cross and Futureal and do serve quite well as the intro pieces to those two records, so placing them in my ranking above several of Iron Maiden's classic records. But then comes Brave New World, an album which many Iron Maiden fans have been eagerly awaiting for so many years. An album which finally reunited Iron Maiden with their legendary vocalist Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith. An album on which Iron Maiden simply had to make a statement right from the opening notes. And at least to me, they simply nailed it with the Wicker Man. And now, I'm not going to say here that The Wicker Man is a stronger track than Moonchild, Caught Somewhere in Time, or Where Eagles Dare. No, I wouldn't dare to say that. But at the same time, at least to me, it was simply the best possible album intro for Iron Maiden's reunion record. A track which had all of the characteristics of a classic Iron Maiden song, yet done in a very modern, at least by the standards of that time, manner, that pumped my anticipation of Brave New World when it came out like crazy. And therefore, I simply have to place it right below Aces High, at number 2 in our ranking, at least as of right now. Now, most of this channel's regular viewers know that I simply love Dance of Death, and I love every song on it, including its intro track, Wildest Dreams. Yet in all fairness, I can't really call it the best album intro ever made, and at least to me, once again, simply as an intro piece, not as a song itself. But it falls in slightly same category as Sign of the Cross and Futureal. And since I can't really decide to where to place it, whether above or below them, I'll place Wildest Dream right in between those two tracks. And the same goes for Different World from A Matter of Life and Death, as although it is a great song, no questions asked here, at least in my opinion, it did not really bring anything extraordinary to the table, yet it's still better than some of the intro pieces released by Iron Maiden before that. And then Iron Maiden dropped The Final Frontier, with its almost 9-minute long intro song. And here's the thing, although I do understand that Satellite 15 is, well, I guess technically an intro to The Final Frontier, still, it came as one piece, and it is supposed to be enjoyed in its entirety as an opening track to this album. And to this very day, it just doesn't work for me as an intro piece at all. And so, to the excitement of all of the fans of Invaders, with all due respect, I actually will have to place Satellite 15, The Final Frontier, at the very bottom of my personal rankings for Iron Maiden album intros. But here's the crazy thing, although the opening track to the Book of Souls album, If Eternity Should Fail, is roughly the same length as Satellite 15, The Final Frontier, it actually worked great as an intro piece, at least for me. So I guess it's not really only about length. And I actually consider it to be one of the best album openers this band has done in a very, very long time, placing it even above some of my personal favorite ones. Oh, and by the way, did you guys notice which album I put behind me in this segment? Yeah, lame, I know. And thus we come to the band's latest studio output, at least as of right now. Iron Maiden's 17th studio album, Senjutsu, and its title track / opening piece, which at least as of today I will rank at 1 point higher than A Matter of Life and Death's Different world, thus concluding the list of all of the Iron Maiden album intros. But anyways, that's it. This is my personal ranking of all of the Iron Maiden album openers. And what about yours? Which is your personal favorite album opener and why? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!